It feels so good to be back reviewing movies and being able to talk about them here with you on Movie Show Plus. I have a few reviews coming up right now, including the Eurovision movie starring Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams. Was it any good? It's on Netflix this week. Also, my review of the film Irresistible. It's written and directed by Jon Stewart, stars Steve Carell, Chris Cooper. And then there is the family-friendly film 4 Kids and It, which you can find as well coming this week. What did I think of these films? Here we go. The new political comedy Irresistible doesn't seem to cover any new ground. It's far from perfect, and it feels like somewhat of a disappointment considering that it's coming from Jon Stewart, who wrote and directed it. But there are several shards of sharp satire found within his script, even if the story itself could have used a bit of refining. Steve Carell plays a Democratic campaign consultant who travels to small-town USA to get an ex-Marine, played by Chris Cooper, elected as mayor. Rose Byrne is the Republican yin to Carell's yang, and some of the best moments are when the two share the screen, which isn't often enough. Some of the messages and the overall point of the film, delivered with somewhat of an implausible twist ending, are pure Jon Stewart, as he raises several interesting points about how corrupt and broken our political system is, especially when it comes to the injection of money into the process. Now, many might expect that a film from Stewart may only take jabs at one political party, but he addresses flaws on all sides of the spectrum. Much of the film, though, ironically, doesn't pack much of a punch and feels a bit generic. If the entirety of the film was only as fierce and precise as one of his Daily Show monologues, Irresistible would be simply that. But even as it is, a bit soft in the middle, it's not all bad. That's not a ringing endorsement, but it's just barely enough for a recommendation. I give Irresistible a B-. Winning the award for the worst movie title of the year, Eurovision Song Contest: The Story of Fire Saga is now available on Netflix, and it stars Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams as 2 friends who represent Iceland in the Super Bowl of pop music, Eurovision, a contest that is not widely known in the United States, despite having been a staple of pop culture in Europe for several decades. That disconnect might be a turnoff for us American viewers who are unfamiliar, but I don't think we'd mind as much if the movie was just consistently funny. It's not. And at just over 2 hours, it feels bloated and way too long to be effective. There are a few moments and lines of dialogues here and there that are pretty funny, and it is quite impressive to watch how good and how dedicated Rachel McAdams is, even when playing such a goofy character. Dan Stevens is weirdly funny in it in a supporting role, and the whole film had a strange Zoolander oddity vibe going for it. That's not really a compliment. Eurovision Song Contest: The Story of Fire Saga should play well with international audiences, but for most Americans, this isn't going to turn their chairs around. I give it a C. Also available to stream this weekend is My Spy, the action comedy starring Dave Bautista and Chloe Coleman, which was originally meant for theatrical release back in March. Also on June 30th, there's a new family film called 4 Kids and It, starring Paula Patton and the voice of Michael Caine. For more detailed reviews of these and other movies, please check me out on Rotten Tomatoes. You can go to the site, search the critics list to find Tom Santilli, and you can scroll through all of my recent and not so recent reviews. Another good way to find my stuff is to follow me on Twitter @TomSantilli or go to the website movieshowplus.com.